Recording started.
Good evening, Gretchen.
Oh, hello. Hey. Oops. Make an entrance.
You. Hey, boo.
We already know who you are. Just in case you forgot.
Did you pull out the right laptop?
Have to be prepared for emergencies.
How do you tell the difference?
One has a sticker on the back.
Oh. All right, then it's 7 o'clock. Let's bring this meeting to order. This is the Newburyport Conservation Commission meeting taking place in the Senior Community Center boardroom. This meeting is being recorded. First on the agenda are certificates of compliance, etc. And 20 Henry Graff Road. Garrett Landman, Sports Medicine North.
Well, I can, if you don't mind, I'll just speak to, we, meaning myself and Steve Moore, were able to conduct a site visit. I believe it was on the 17th. And I do have some photos. I'll go through them quickly, just so the commissioners who couldn't make it can see them. And then I'll go back to other documents, but feel free to ask to bring these back up later, and I'll get to a slide, or maybe we can get an idea of this is the street facing side of the building. This is one of the stormwater management features that was required to be installed as part of the order of conditions that was issued originally in 2019. There's the face of the building. This, I believe, is the western perimeter. Steve and I walked the perimeter, so these are kind of going in a clockwise direction around the outside of the building. You can see there's Phragmites, a parking area. This is us coming around
That one picture there, I think, is where,
back here.
no, the one you were on,
Oh, I see.
is where there were, flowers planted with the wild, something, which we couldn't really tell whether they were alive or not in December. Fair enough.
I'll just get through these quickly, just so we get an idea. But what Steve's referring to is this plan, which was approved as part of the order of conditions, and I'll hand it over to Jarrett. But because of the winter conditions, these different colors mean different things. We were really looking at the blue areas because those are the easiest to verify. Those are the invasive control areas. And in those areas, invasives were to be removed in accordance with this Tom Hughes invasive removal and control plan. The other areas Steve's talking about, there's a conservation mix, low mow, fescue, and a wildflower mix, but those were, pretty hard to tell given that it was wintertime conditions. But with that, I'll hand it over to you, Jared. Just want to give it.
Can I ask, is Julia on?
Julia is on, I think. Julia, are you able to?
Yes, I'm here.
Great. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, and Janet's in too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
Kelsey, thank you, and thank you, Commission, for putting me on the agenda for tonight. Also, special thanks to Steve and Kelsey for walking the grounds during the holiday season on short notice, because I know this was somewhat expedited because of some of the things that have been happening on the sports medicine orthopedic realty side. So again, that's not lost on me as well. So I want to express my thanks. Background: Jared Landman. I'm the managing partner of SMNO Realty. That's the LLC that supports the real estate arm of Sports Medicine Orthopedics, which is a longstanding orthopedic physician group in the Newburyport market. Dr. Matteo, Shore, Urosky, Azuna, the list goes on with our 21 physicians. 2020, we purchased the land that now holds the 20 Henry Graff building from John Hartnett. Tom Hughes was involved in the original planning of that site. As you guys know, we have the as-built. And in September of 2021, the building was completed. McKinsey Engineering, who was supporting our Conserve Design Build group out of Sagamore, had submitted a request for a certificate of compliance at that time. And because it was September, we were unable to complete all of the asks, including a wildflower mix of plantings, some native small trees and shrubs in the parking fields, and things that just wouldn't have survived the winter. So ultimately, those were planted in the spring. At that time, Parterre Gardens was involved in the project at Tom's sort of recommendation, and they carried out all of those plantings, and I have records of all of those plantings being done. And then somewhere along the way, I guess proving out that we were an excellent physician group and maybe not so organized as landlords, it got lost on us to ever refile for that certificate of compliance. However, since kind of September of 21 and taking occupancy in that building, I have records that date to the present of, ecological field notes from Parterre, showing the remediation of the Phragmites, showing the field cuts, showing all of the plantings, and I'm happy to circulate and have the commission review. I think one of the things that becomes thematic throughout is Phragmites is an invasive species, which means they're very hard to kill. And so I think part of what ultimately became our, I guess, understanding or strategy, irrespective of what was filed, is that this is not a singular event. This is a sort of lifetime support of the property. And I'm hopeful that the records that we have, irrespective of what a winter site visit looks like and the growth and overgrowth that's in some of those areas, is that we have maintained sort of the recommendations on the as-built. The records carry forward through 2023, start of 2024 at Parterre, and then we transitioned to Perrone out of New Hampshire to continue with the remediation as well as the lawn care. And one of the other things that obviously is pertinent to this group is the sports medicine or physicians in the fourth quarter of this year, which ultimately prompted why we recognized we didn't have the certification, elected to sell the building to a third-party property management group called Vitalis, who manages medical office buildings throughout the country, as well as in parts of Massachusetts, down in Taunton. They have one in the western part of the state, out in Berkshires. And what was important, I think, for me to be able to express to this commission is an understanding, as I said, that not only do I know that this is going to require constant upkeep, maintenance, and remediation through the lifetime of managing the building, but so too does the future owners. And so I have a letter from them basically saying that they're excited to work and become a member of the Newburyport community, and their intent is to continue the required ecological and landscape management that we have kind of put forth. And on top of that letter is a letter from their property management group, not just from the owner operator, saying the same. And so, again, I'm happy to have the group review all of this in consideration of that certificate for us. And I'm open to additional questions.
Were those documents uploaded to the?
Unfortunately, they were not. And so I'm happy, like I said, I'm happy to do so. I brought hard copies again. I'm happy to upload them as supporting materials.
Yeah, we need to see those.
Sure.
I guess, when we were out there, it was obvious that there was Phragmites growing where it wasn't supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I recognize how difficult it is to get rid of it, especially when the property right next door on all sides
Yeah.
has Phragmites that they're under no requirement to get rid of, so.
Yeah, and actually, it's funny because as you know, right, the property line extends almost to that fence line, but not exactly to that fence. Now, of course, we're gonna maintain to that fence line because it's ours, but to your point, it is really hard, these sort of dividing lines across the properties. Again, that's partly why I appreciate the need to maybe uploads, and I'm happy, like I said, to do so and turn this in. But even in the best of these conditions, again, I have one, that's from in November of 2023 here, where it was like they've been managing every month, and they still come back and say, no, this new frac might be screwed. And again, you guys know probably better than I, but I went out and one of the days happened to be there while they were doing work, and they had 6 field operators who are literally going one by one with a pair of scissors and taking a syringe and injecting into these phragmites to try to create the kill. And again, it's the sea, it's the ocean. So it's been a struggle. And like I said, candidly, we're here because I think that we're keeping up with it and continue to keep up with those monthly and quarterly treatments. You're right, the winter's hard. Again, I actually called today and said, if today doesn't go well, how soon can you come out and do a treatment? I said, you don't do a treatment in January. Fully appreciate sort of what the optics look like. But again, hopefully this documentation shows that it's not because of neglect as much as it is just a suckers and tough to.
So do you need the certificate in order to sell the building?
So the building has sold. This is a condition post-close. It was a recommendation of the lawyers that this is something that could be obtained post-closure. And so the building has already transitioned hands. Yeah, I mean, I needed this probably 3.5 years ago because I'm not in compliance and owning a building, right? Let's be candid. And I feel that we should do what's right by the community irrespective of that, which is again why I'm here. So we should do, if there are additional work that needs to be done, we will put in the legwork now post-close, being the tenant or not, irrespective of what that certificate issuance is. Because again, it's ongoing. We know that this doesn't stop at the certificate.
Yeah, I would like to see the non-invasive vegetation that you planted.
Yeah.
Actually is there, which,
Yeah,
so I mean, we could give you a partial
okay,
and then go back in June, let's say, and say, oh yeah, all this stuff is here,
okay.
we're fine. I mean, that's my thought.
I defer to the commission. I don't think that's reasonable.
Yeah, that would be fine with me. Julie, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. I would agree with a partial on this. I'd also suggest that, I mean, it was an invasive removal and control plan was proposed with a lot of confidence back then and as a mitigation measure and, as a way to sort of like make this project come across better to the commission at the time or for whatever reasons. And so, I'd like to hear from the wetland scientist who's supposedly on board to oversee all of this invasive removal, Tom Hughes, what he thinks in terms of why it hasn't been working. Clearly, we have a problem with all the phragmites surrounding it, and you're right, it is an ocean. Maybe it shouldn't have been proposed in the first place, and I think we need to be careful about that moving forward with evaluating these invasive removals programs. But I'd like to hear from Tom, like what he thinks about should this whole thing be given up at this point? Do they want to keep moving forward with it? I hate to see people spending money and a lot of man hours like needlessly on something that's never going to work. And so maybe there's an additional type of mitigation or a substitute, something that could be done and just let this Phragmites go, knowing that without the neighboring property owners and a much larger scale program, it's not going to be successful. So given that part of the order of conditions required the wetland scientist to oversee all this, I think that we should probably hear from him about moving forward. But again, I would agree with a partial for the building construction and all of the stormwater management, et cetera, because I think that was done correctly.
Tom's still involved, or?
He hasn't been involved since his recommendations were made and handoff to Miles Connors on the Parterre side and Miles handing off to the, I'm sorry, Julie.
Oh, so then, I'm sorry, I must have missed who's the wetland scientist overseeing all of this then?
So originally Tom was the consultant who proposed the plan to the NCC. It was handed off to Parterre Gardens. Miles Connors was the wetland scientist.
Okay.
He did the plan with Tom, and then after 2 years of remediation, it was continuance of the plan, and we moved on to Perone just because of their proximity and they're able to get to the space. They're just over the border of New Hampshire, and they've continued the same plan.
Okay. So whoever that is at this point, Perone, somebody moving forward, the person responsible moving forward for implementation of the plan, it'd be great to hear their thoughts on, is this worthwhile at all? Is this like fighting a losing battle? And should resources be put somewhere else to better, sort of enhance the site?
Okay.
There is some cattails growing in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Probably not for long.
well,
I never know about cattails.
if you're looking at this plan, that triangle that goes off towards, that was pretty thick with fragments.
You mean this one?
Yes.
No.
Oh, back up here.
But as you get further down closer to the driveway, there's less fragmites and there were some cattails in there. So I'm a little reluctant to throw the whole thing away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I think Julia raises a good point, because obviously from a money saving standpoint, it would be wonderful not to spend what we do to remediate, but at the same time, it was always my understanding that was gonna be a sunk cost in the go forward, so. Again, I'm comfortable with either recommendation to continue with the strategy and or bring back in a wetland scientist to revisit the historical.
I just have a question about this plan, and is it meant to go in perpetuity? I mean, and with, through passing on to the next owner? Legally,
Yes.
I guess?
Well, it's in the order, so it's recorded at the registry of deeds.
In the deeds, but as part of so just, once this is closed out, though, it's still part of, like, it goes with the deed, with the property?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Hmm. So, I mean, if all the documentation is in place saying that they've been doing it, regularly, with documentation showing that it's been done and this property has been sold, I guess I'm just wondering, with the commission, Julia, maybe you weigh in here, why we wouldn't just grant him the approval and then make sure that it continues on with the new owner.
Well, I would just like to verify that the stuff we couldn't verify that it was alive, actually is alive. That's the reason for a partial. We'll go back out there in May or June and say, yep, there it is.
I guess it depends on the documentation, though, right? I mean, if they have photographs showing that it was alive last summer,
I don't
know that I would have to go back and see if I have photographs from last summer. I think it might be 2 summers ago. I'd have to dig up separately.
If you have them, I'm willing to say we don't have to go back out in June.
yeah. I mean, I guess we still don't have all the documentation to take a look at it, so.
Yeah, we need to look at this also, and I think it's a good idea to talk to the current wetland scientist too, or the incoming one, or whoever. For their perspective on it.
Yeah, I agree with that, because if there is a change where they say, why are we spending money year after year doing this? It's not getting the site anywhere. It's not getting them anywhere. And maybe it will, and maybe the plan is just takes that much longer to implement year by year, and eventually you weaken it, and eventually the cattails come in, and maybe you can just sort of like push back that boundary of the Phragmites a little bit, and maybe that's good enough. But if there is going to be some sort of change where we say, you know what, instead of this, do X, Y, or Z plantings instead, or change it to make it more successful, then I think leaving this partially open is a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Is that drainage, that catch basin that was installed, is that meant for flooding conditions? Because it seemed like it was above grade.
Let's see, go back to the beginning. Are you talking about this,
Yeah.
swale area?
Oh, it's a swale?
Yeah, I think it's just the dimensions of the picture, it's per the as-built, and I have the.
It is a depression, yeah, hard to tell, maybe, I think I'm standing kind of in it, and that might be why it looks like it's, an upland area.
Gotcha, thanks.
Okay, so. So we need to get those documents uploaded, and
If you have pictures, you can upload them.
They're in the ecological field notes, I'll just have to see how current the photographs are, to be honest with you.
Sure.
And then I will bring back the field consultant. And then in May, you'll pay me another visit, it sounds like. Perhaps.
If you got good pictures, we can avoid that.
All right, sounds good, I'll look for that too, appreciate it.
And we can give you a full instead of a partial.
Would love that, that would be great. And then in terms of the upload, is that something I can email you? Or can
Yeah, I can work with you on that,
So you can help
yeah,
for it.
yeah, I can get in touch tomorrow and work on that.
Great, I really appreciate it. Thank you all for hearing me tonight, I really appreciate it.
okay, so we're just gonna continue this to the next meeting?
Yeah, it sounds like, you could either continue, or if you have enough, members who are willing to vote on a partial, it's something you could do tonight.
Yeah, the partial's only for the building itself.
Building, and if we feel like the stormwater
Storm stuff.
management,
I mean, we could wait till the next meeting and maybe give a full.
I'll defer to the commission, but those are all valid options.
If it, I mean, the sale's already taken place, so we're not holding that up.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I defer to the commission. I think anything that I can show that we're moving in the direction towards compliance, I think would behoove the physicians in this, even though it's post-transaction, they own the responsibility to follow this through, which is why I take it as I do the rest of the building, because it was my baby personally. So again, if a partial is something that the commission felt was reasonable based on the stormwater and the as-bills there, that might be something I would be appreciative of. But again, I defer to the commission.
I'm okay with that.
okay, that's it's fine with me. Anybody got a question on that? Hearing none.
Finances. I'll make a motion to issue a partial certificate of compliance for
20
20
Graff Road. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. All right, roll call Steve Moore,
Yes.
Barb Riley,
Yes,
Julie Gofferson,
Yes.
Janet Daisley,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, so we look forward to checking those documents out and,
Thank you all, appreciate it.
okay, thank you.
Definitely have that. You see it's late in the evening.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
on to the public hearings and 5 Basin Street, notice of intent. Can you give us a little rundown on what's going on?
Sure, so 5 Basin has been continued for several meetings, and there's a bit of a delay on both sides. The city was hoping to get a legal analysis from the city's outside counsel, but the city is changing legal firms at the moment. So there's gonna be some time before we can get our request. It's in the form of a memo, for analysis in front of the new attorney, and I don't have an exact timeline for that at this point. Similarly, Tom Hughes, representing the applicant, is hoping to get a revised NOI narrative, but it's really his revised legal analysis. And I think he, expects to get that before the next meeting. But again, no definite date on when that will come around. So we're waiting for updated analyses on both sides.
Okay. So how should we just continue to the next meeting?
Tom has requested a continuance to the January 20th meeting.
Okay.
Motion to continue to January 20.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call, Steve Moore,
Yes.
Art Riley,
Yes.
Julie Gopperson,
Yes.
Janet Daisley,
Yes.
I vote yes. All right. Now on to 23 Low Street, request for determination.
I believe we have Luke from TRC and Mike from Next Grid, and commissioners might have seen my email that since our last meeting, a dewatering and soil disposal plan has been uploaded. I also saw the site plan uploaded, but I don't know if updates made there were for the Concom or for another board or commission, but Luke and Mike, I'll let you take it away.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to talk with you all again.
Good
Hello?
evening. Who would like to go, Luke?
Yeah, I'm happy to kind of run through some of the dewatering activities. If there was any specific questions after going through the plan or the updated document that was shared with everyone. So I think
Anybody have anything?
Yeah. I just had a couple, I thought it looked good. I just had a couple of comments. In the actual detail of the plans of it doesn't really reference this dewatering plan or permit requirements. So is this plan going to be part of the specifications that go out to the contractor? Just want to make sure that it doesn't slip through the cracks because it's not on the plans. Um, and then also it's just slightly different what's in the plans than what's described. Um, you've indicated that you're going to take the water and put it into a frac tank and then sample it before it gets discharged. And the plans themselves don't indicate that there's a frac tank there. It looks like it's coming right from the excavation. And then the only other thing is that I know it looks like it's going to be sheet flow and it references a grading plan, but there's no grading plan, so unless I missed it somehow.
so in regard to the comments about the dewatering not being mentioned on the actual plan set, there were some comments, I believe, on page. Let me pull it up real quick.
It mentions dewatering. It's just the actual plan, which I guess more concerned with the permit conditions being followed.
Understood. So yes, this dewatering plan and soil disposal plan will be or is shared with the contractor, and they will be following this as it's laid out. In terms of the frac tank, I'm not sure if Mike can speak a little bit more to that. I personally, from the wetland side of things, do not have experience with that. But Mike, if you want to chime in a little bit more about the frac tank aspect, that would be great.
Mike Pattison. Regarding the frac tank, I don't have a lot of information. I am used to, this dewatering plan being part of something that our contractor would take care of, who's doing the construction. I guess my question is, we're talking about dewatering, but that's only if it actually rains and floods whatever type of trenching is dug. I don't think right now we're not starting construction anytime soon, obviously. I mean, if this could just be like, it could be, these documents could be noted in the RDA decision as being, part of the requirements to pull a building permit. I think hopefully that would satisfy this board's concerns.
Yeah. And it does. I mean, as far as I was the one who sort of inquired about it, and so it does. It does. Both documents together do satisfy it. It's just there's some inconsistencies between what's on the plan and what's in your, and what's on the drawings and what's in your plan. That's all. But as long as they're responsible for following the permit conditions, then it should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We have a meeting with the, construction team to go over the specific permit requirements such as like the Conservation Commission as well as the site plan and planning board. Um, so they understand all the requirements prior to construction.
Yeah, I would maybe note maybe something in the order of conditions that we could say, should dewatering be necessary on site? That notice will be sent to the conservation administrator, environmental planner, with details regarding location and specifications of the dewatering operation, just so that Kelsey could get out there and, make sure that it looks right and that there's no impacts happening from discharge or whatnot.
That seems reasonable to us.
Mhm.
I just will remind quickly that this is an RDA application,
Oh,
so
right.
we can.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, there is I think the -3 where we could say there's no NOI required as long as these conditions are met, which is something, but it's not as binding as NOI or an order of conditions.
Mhm.
Which I was gonna mention this, the more we talk about this, the planting plan, we're removing things, we're gonna replace them. If it was an NOI, there would be a 2-year two growing seasons before we would issue the certificate of compliance. With an RDA, we don't have that unless we make condition, which I don't know that it's enforceable, because the applicant doesn't own the property, they lease it. So they're not gonna file anything with registry of deeds. I personally would be more comfortable if this was an NOI. I'm not, I have no complaint about what they're doing. It's just that we don't have any say in how it turns out, if it's an RDA.
Mhm.
It's my 2 cents there.
yeah, actually with everything that's going on here, I'm leaning more toward a notice of intent too, because there's, we have to worry about the runoff into wetlands and, sometimes issues happen with batteries too, and if there's, any kind of a fire or something with the batteries, we gotta make sure that that stuff's not getting into the wetlands. This just seems like an awful lot for an RDA. All this, all the stuff we have for it. That's my
Kelsey,
2 cents.
yeah. I'm just wondering, could you pull up the site plan? That might help a little bit right now to just see again, like what their impact areas are.
This one shows
And
the
zoom in.
battery, yeah, the honeycomb areas, kind of the footprint of the battery. I believe this gray area was for vehicle access.
It's
And the
just
100-foot buffer.
it's just a diagram. That's already existing. We're not putting anything in. It just has to be noted so that the utility understands where their access point is to deal with their utility poles. We're not putting down any asphalt, none of that. It's already a completely open area, so there's access because it's an active lumber yard, so there's trucks driving through this entire area constantly.
Mhm. Where's the wetland buffer line on here? It's like zoom in on that. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, they're a little faint, but the red is the 25-foot no
Okay.
disturb to this wetland, and then there's a light green, which is the 100-foot kind of going
Yeah.
right here.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so, we're not disturbing, we are outside of the 100 foot, all of our equipment is outside of it. We're not within it at all.
You're not constructing that access driveway?
There is no access driveway. It's just noted as this would be where
Okay. Okay,
If a utility truck needed to go through, that's where they could drive through. But
yeah,
that, if you look on like, I don't
already
know, Google
paved.
Earth, you can
Yeah,
see that the entire area is already open.
paved. Yeah, right.
I
So
mean,
as I said,
the only thing would be is the sheet flow from the water treatment, the discharge, where is
Hmm.
that going?
Hmm. Yeah, so I mean, I get why this is an RDA and not an NOI because truly their construction itself, the location of this and operation of this would not be having any impact, adverse impact on the buffer zone or the neighboring wetland. It's strictly that they're taking down some trees in the buffer and well, that's an impact.
Well, some of those trees and shrubs are in the 25-foot road disturb zone.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that, I mean, that's the trigger.
Yeah, and again, the majority of the vegetation that is proposed to be removed is that autumn olive. So, that is again, an invasive species. It's definitely not going to be uh, completely removed from the site forever, as there is, outside of the limit of removal, there's a significant amount of other autumn olive shrubs, and these do grow from the root system, so they are likely to, sprout back up in the future. However, the installation of new native vegetation, especially the sweet fern that was mentioned, that is a low growing, fast growing shrub that um, expands quickly and would considerably help the situation in terms of shading out some of that new autumn olive growth that likely will come in the future. Um, so again, most of it is the autumn olive, which would be a good thing to remove regardless of whether this project was happening or not. However, there will be a few of the native species as well, mostly the staghorn sumac, which were very small shrubs and will be replaced one to one.
And I apologize that I wasn't at the site visit. And given that this is all gravel, like you said, like you're not having to create any roads that aren't already there. Can you just quickly remind me what the need then is for taking down these trees and shrubs?
Sure. So on the left side or the west side of the property, there will be some overhead poles going in.
Right.
So a few of the trees on the left side are black locust that have gotten up to about 20 to 25 feet in height. So hypothetically, if there was a storm and one of those were to topple over, it could impact the overhead lines. And then on the eastern side or the right side, we had comments from the fire department saying that they needed to have a 10-foot buffer on the outside of the perimeter fence line around the storage system, with no vegetation as per the fire department code. So we actually, as you can see on the right side, kind of on there's like a little almost like bubbly feature that was our limit of clearance. However, we extended past that because of the fire department's request.
But that area is outside the buffer zone, correct?
Correct.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so it's really just the area on the left of this plan that we're talking about in terms of buffer zone impacts, where you're installing the poles and taking down the trees. So, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
and if the frac tank went in or the dewatering tank went in, would there be a possibility of locating it on the right side, whatever that is, the eastern side of the site?
yeah, I don't see any problem with that. And we would stay away from the wetlands as much as possible. So,
Right. So that would eliminate if there was dewatering and you placed it in that location, it'd be outside the buffer zone, it'd be discharging outside the buffer zone, correct?
correct.
The,
Well, my understanding of the frac
not,
tank is if you use a frac tank,
yeah,
it it's charged with whatever water for dewatering, and then there has to be specific tests done to it. And then if it is qualified as it's just clear runoff, then it discharges normally as
Right.
normal stormwater off to, the southeast side, away from the wetlands.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing that we just don't know is where will it be discharged to? It's the only thing that's,
But it seems like we could specify that it cannot be discharged into the wetland or buffer zone, right? I don't see why it couldn't be discharged off to the southeast.
and
Yeah.
actually, that might be in their notes. Is it in your notes on the drawings?
The sheet flow or I'm sorry, what exactly are you asking there?
Doesn't specifically indicate where you're going to be discharging, but it does, I think you have some notes saying it can't be discharged to the wetlands or, buffer zone, I believe. I don't have it right in front of me right now.
Page 7, it shows, proposed dewatering location and a proposed concrete washout area that is also outside of the 100-foot buffer zone. And then there's some notes on it as well.
Okay. Okay. So in that case, really all we're looking at then is the tree and shrub removal and replacement,
Correct.
which I think allows us to continue to look at this as an RDA because we could add a special condition or two to a -3 determination that would talk about monitoring of the replacement plantings. I don't know how the rest of the commission feels about that.
I just have a question. I went to a hearing last night and it was for an RDA. It was for tree removal within the 25-foot buffer. And then as you said, they did a -3, and then there were specific conditions that they noted on it. I mean, one of them was a 2-year growing season.
Yeah.
So, I imagine, again, I'm not a conservation person, but I imagine if one board could do it, I'm assuming you guys could also do it.
Yeah. We have. Yeah, we do.
I like the solution that Julia's suggesting. I think it's reasonable and it meets the needs for this project.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Well, the one thing I think we're missing is where are the plant's going to go that we're planting, because 2 years from now, Kelsey's gonna have to go out there and say, yep, they're all alive, but if she doesn't know where they are, that's hard to do.
So originally they were proposed to be split along the eastern and the western portion. However, if you would like all of the replantings to be done within the 25-foot buffer area, that is certainly reasonable and could be accomplished.
No, they can be on both sides. It just needs to be noted, what plant is going where, so that we know that it survived.
Wasn't there a plan that we saw with that?
That
Did you
was
guys bring it?
that was the removal plan. We were
Oh.
waiting for, a specific determination as to what the commission would like in terms of the replanting. We had talked about species. However, again, distributed between the eastern and the western side, we can certainly come up or give you guys a specific plan with which species will be planted in what areas. That's not an issue at all.
Okay, that would keep me happy. And Kelsey.
Maybe you could keep the plant tags on them too, assuming they're still, you get them in bulk that way.
Understood. I don't see an issue with leaving the tags on them, so they're easier to identify.
Okay. Well, yeah, if the dewatering is nowhere near it's off on the right side, whatever side that is, that's fine with me. It simplifies things.
Yeah.
For my own clarification, I think last meeting, the commission discussed a total of 32 plants to be replanted. Is that, I just want to make sure everyone's understanding that, or did someone have any other proposal for mitigation plantings?
I think it was half of the autumn olives and then some other number was gonna be 1-for-1, so.
Yeah, I thought it was 17 trees or shrubs to be planted, and then 15 like herbaceous sweet fern or something like that.
That was 20.
Well, that's why I raised it, just you know, if we want to nail that down.
Let's go with 20.
Yeah, so from my memory, it was again half of the autumn olives that were going to be removed. There were 30 autumn olives that were proposed to be removed. So that would be 15, and then yes, the 17 native species as well. Again, if you would like a split between herbaceous and shrub, I do think the sweet fern is about a 4-foot shrub. So I think that would qualify in the shrub layer, as well as the staghorn sumac, which does grow to about 6 to 8 feet. So there will be, you know, a slight difference in threshold between the two. But if you would like more of an herbaceous species, happy to give some suggestions and throw that into the plan as well.
That's good.
Yeah, it's fine by me. All right, anybody else have anything?
What have we talked about as far as conditions?
I think it was the mitigation plantings we just discussed, that discharge, if there's water to be discharged, it can't go into the buffer areas or the wetlands. And possibly, along with the mitigation plantings, a plan showing where those plants are located and that those plants should be tagged.
Right.
For identification.
And survive for 2 growing seasons.
And survive for 2 growing seasons.
Okay.
Did I miss anything? Anyone online?
So I just wanted to bring up the frac tank example again. So just from the plan that we had put together, again, it does say that all of the samples of the collected water will be taken, and if it's determined to be, you know, contaminant free and just clean runoff, that would just be discharged on the site. However, if it was found to be to exceed the minimum levels of the NPDES, the water would be shipped off site and disposed of at an accredited facility, and the contractor would be responsible for maintaining the records of the sample analysis, the disposal, all of that, and would be available upon request from the Conservation Commission. So I just kind of wanted to like touch base on the frac tank dewatering once again, just so we're all on the same page on that front. So if the water is under those levels and clean, it still could not be dewatered on site. Is that what I'm hearing, or am I misunderstanding?
No, I think if the correct me if I'm wrong, Barbara, especially because I think this is your area of expertise, but if it's clean and it goes through the frac tank, then it gets discharged as any other, you know, dewatering tank would discharge on site, you know, with outlet control or something to prevent erosion at the outlet, away from wetlands to infiltrate just on site. Understood. Or to go into the storm drains. Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah.
That's what I had thought as well. Just wanted to confirm.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, you know, you just have to be careful. The bottom of the frac tank could be a lot of sediment and, you know, and so if you're treating to take out suspended solids, you know, then you just have to do that. But yeah, if you're below the contaminant levels, then you're fine to discharge.
Great. And then just south of the proposed dewatering location, there is going to still be a, you know, vegetated area, you know, south of the site that I think would work fine for that specific treatment. So I think we're all set on that front.
Yeah, I just didn't realize that square was where you're gonna be discharging. I thought it just said dewatering location, like that's where you're gonna be dewatering. So I think I understand what you're planning on doing now.
So that frac tank would be removed after the construction, is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, no, it would obviously it would not be left on site. Again, this is a operational lumberyard, so we can't be encroaching on, more of their property. We have a lease agreement for a specific amount, and once construction is complete, all but our battery site has to be returned back to its original condition, so operations can continue.
Okay,
Do you have, this was just we talked about fire, if a fire were to occur, what kind of protective measures do you have, built in?
The system
Any?
itself.
Yeah, like, are you relying, let's say you have a fire, would you be relying on, is there an alarm or anything that signals, the fire department to?
So it is, I'll just do my battery spiel. So these batteries use, it's called lithium iron phosphate. So they are the safest batteries there are to use. A lot of people have concerns about batteries catching fire. The ones you guys are constantly thinking about are in your phones, which are getting banged around and damaged. And also EV cars, which are these super high capacity. They have like double the electrical capacity of what we use. This system, the battery cells are triple contained, and then the system is constantly monitored. It has a 24-hour monitoring service, and the system sends any type of issues or alarms back to the monitoring company. So if there's a voltage issue, it will alert the monitoring company and it'll shut itself down. If there's an overheating issue, it'll monitor, it'll notify the monitoring company, it'll shut itself down, and it'll ramp up its liquid cooling system. It also has an automatic aerosol gel system for any type of electrical fires that it will do itself. But all of this is monitored by a company that we would hire, and any type of emergencies would be reported to the system would report to the monitoring company, and the monitoring company would notify local emergency, and a subject matter expert would be on site to do any type of assistance and management of the, say, emergency services.
Thank you.
Sorry, did that answer your question? I know, kind of
Yeah.
like ramped up and rambled on real quick there.
Yep, no, it's good, thank you.
No problem.
okay. Anything else?
I don't think anything from our end. If you have any other questions.
Well, if anyone has a question, I will take a motion.
Okay, a -3 determination with the conditions that we've talked about, and Kelsey has recorded. That's a motion.
Second,
Okay, roll call, Steve Moore,
Yes.
Barb Riley,
Yes,
Julie Godfredson,
Yes.
Janet Daisley,
yes.
and I vote yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice night, everyone.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, now on to, the approval of the meeting minutes from 12/16/25. Anybody have any comments? Corrections?
I have one comment, and Gretchen's gonna hate me.
More, yeah, that's what I said.
I think it was in 5 Basin Street. There was a single letter O.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'll let some.
All by itself.
Oh,
I'm not sure if it was supposed to be part of a word that wasn't there.
All right, I'll work on it.
Well, we will remove the spurious of. Anybody else?
I'll make it up.
Mhm.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve with the removal of
Spurious
oh.
I'll
Second.
second that.
Yeah.
All right, roll call, Steve Moore,
Yes.
Bob Riley,
Yes,
Julie Godfredson,
Yes.
Janet Daisley,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right, so next, shall we discuss the city forest plan?
Sure.
Yeah, so this is the draft plan I sent out just before the holidays. I think it's a standard form, but it was prepared by Tom Ashton, our contracted forester, and he's just seeking feedback. So at this point, I've received a couple of written comments, which I'm happy to pass on to Tom. But another question I think before the commission is there's an additional 2 hours of Tom's time that we can utilize, so maybe the commission may want to discuss the best use of that time or whether you want to use that time. And ideally, I'd get all your, if you have any written comments, I'd get those by the end of this week. That's not a hard deadline, but the whole package, everything has to be completed before January 21st. That's the grant deadline for all the work to be completed.
Just the plan to be completed, not what's in the plan.
Correct, sorry, for the plan to be completed, and we'd probably want a day or two of margin there, so I can make sure it gets submitted and received by DCR, prior to the deadline. So I think, Joe, you pointed out that the property taxes, is this what you're referring to? That-
Yeah, the lower property taxes,
Yeah,
that's not applicable.
Yeah, okay, so I have that, and Janet, you had submitted comments to me, which I passed on to Tom as well.
I think I gave you one about. Talked about neighborhoods.
Oh, yes, you did, yeah, I passed, so as I've received them, I've kind of sent them to Tom, but I can also kind of send him maybe like a document with all of our cumulative comments.
I really like Barb's idea of using that 2 hours. I don't know if this is the right time to say that, to really look at how to resource it, because it's formidable to do one of these plans. So I think that's a great idea.
Okay, great.
For resourcing, are you talking about money?
Yeah, like what's it going to cost to do each of the things that are a goal on the plan that he put down below, all the strategies that he has. I've worked on one of these on my own property, and they just takes a lot of time and energy and money for many of them, or volunteers, like Barb pointed out. So that helps you kind of decide which ones do you really want to prioritize once you know what the cost and energy is behind it.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and my brother own some land out in Western Mass, and they have a forest management plan. And they've done a bunch of work under Department of Agriculture. And they pay to have the work done, and then the Department of Agriculture reimburses them for actually more than what they spend. So I don't know if the city can do that.
Well, this would be if the commission decides this is what they want to do. I haven't asked Tom yet, but I would go back and ask him. And I think Tom has a really good knowledge of all the kind of grants and finance state level resources. And maybe he could kind of like incorporate that into whatever he gives us as far as a cost estimate.
Because I know.
yeah, I mean, I think it sort of thing could be a partnership, with a consultant overseeing it, I mean, certainly there's things that they would probably do, and then other things that volunteers could do, and or the city. But just having give them something, but not everything, and create a plan that, that lasts, that's doable. Because I know it sounds like the city's got their hands full. So, it may not be something that is doable. But we won't know unless they give us a cost.
Mhm.
And then we compare to what we could potentially do as volunteers or through grants or anything like that.
Andy had expressed concern that there wasn't any money to do any of this work. Which have some issues with that statement, but
But
we don't
maybe
know how.
there's some grant that could, that where you could do some piece of it, like the road or the paths that he talks about, it would really help with the management of the forest once that's established, but maybe that's something that can be done by volunteers or through a grant, and to get things started. Like, what's the timeline for these things? Like, what's the sequence of
Yeah,
events?
that's what I was wondering. I mean, I feel like the city forest has sat still for such a long time and been pretty much fine. That definitely there are some improvements that can be made and things we might want to do out there. But I was thinking this plan was more like a roadmap or a guide for, if some money does come along, if there's a grant opportunity, then we say, okay, great. Now we've got this recommendation in this plan that fits with this grant. Let's go for it. Rather than feeling like we have a prescription for a timeline that has to start now.
Mhm.
I'm not sure, but I suspect CPA money could be used for some of this.
Possible.
Yep.
And it depends on how much too, because Julie, is there a reason we can't use Concom funds to fund some of this if necessary?
I think Concom funds could be used if necessary. The commission would have to vote on it. We'd have to vote to use them. I mean, we don't, it would depend on the mission, if it fits with the mission, but seems like it would in this case.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think things like trail creation or maintenance can be done by man of Woodman and Ink, whatever it
Yep.
is.
Yeah, we
have
already give Matt some money to do work on other of our open space parcels, so I don't think this would be any different if it fit within sort of those budget parameters.
Mhm. All right, so does, well, so where are we with this? Are we basically,
It sounds like unless there's anyone who would rather have a site visit or use those 2 hours for anything else, it sounds like maybe we're on the same page as we'd like to use those 2 hours for Tom to come up with some kind of rough estimate and maybe some financial resources he's aware of.
Yeah.
And then unless, I'll let you, I know we had the holidays, so maybe people haven't had a chance to take a look at this, but as you have time this week, and again, we can go into next week, if you have any comments you'd like me to pass on to Tom, I think that's it. I think this is the plan, unless you have further comments, and then hopefully on top of this plan, we'll have maybe as an attachment, like a cost estimate.
yeah,
And also,
And
if it's time in the 2 hours to say, this is the order in which these things should occur.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, in his professional,
Yeah.
perspective. Okay,
all right.
great, thanks, everybody.
All right, do we have any other updates?
The only other one I had is I do have a site visit, that just got scheduled for next Tuesday, the 13th at, oh shoot, now I'm gonna forget what time it's at. I think, it was 2:30. Let me send out an email tomorrow to
Okay.
make sure that I get that time correct. So this is just for a property, I think it's 13 Hale Street. It's a church, the Assembly of God property. And there's going to be a very similar, or what's being proposed is a project very similar to this 23 Low Street. It's another battery energy storage project. That NOI has not come in yet. I think it'll be weeks, if not maybe a couple months before we see the NOI, but they're trying to clear all the clouds on the property, and there is an outstanding order of conditions on that property. But according to the consultant, the order of conditions was issued and then the work was never done. It was to expand on the existing building and that work just never happened. So they're seeking an invalid certificate of compliance where we would take a look and agree that the approved work was never performed and just kind of close out that open.
We're also expanding the parking lot, because
I believe, yeah, I think that's right.
I remember one of those churches out there, they wanted to expand the
I
parking.
wonder if I can bring it
That
up.
was the first one.
What's the address on this one again? Sorry.
Let me make sure I have this right. 13 Hale Street.
13 Hale. 13
I
Hale?
think so.
Oh, that's the, yeah, okay, that's the, the Assembly of God next to the Hope
Oh,
Church.
the Hope Church. Yeah, they want to put a battery storage there?
No, at the Assembly, next to it.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, and again, this isn't so next week's site visit wouldn't be getting into the battery storage yet. We're just looking to close out an open order of conditions on that property,
Yeah.
but they do down the line, their intent is, and they would be filing an NOI. And we haven't received any of those plans. They haven't filed an application yet, but I just wanted to let you know, I'll send out an email tomorrow confirming the day and time next week. So it may not be a high priority or a super interesting site visit because we'll be confirming that no work was performed. But I do offer it in case, there might be a project coming up on this site. So if you just want to get familiar with the site and go out there, anyone is welcome to join me.
Well, I'll go. I gotta walk there. Well, I'm gonna.
Oh, yeah. Okay, great.
Kelsey, I have a question related about this battery storage thing. Given that we're seeing one for the first time on further down on Low Street and now maybe one here. And like, is this, I don't know if you've talked with Jennifer and zoning or anyone or Andy. Is it an allowable use, or are they getting use variances for battery storage, or is this something that's allowed in the industrial business park area and we're just going to see more and more of them? I'm curious.
That's interesting. I have not honestly talked to Jennifer about the zoning, so I don't know how the use is being classified. I know that the interest in Newburyport, because I had a quick phone call with the contractor for 13 Hale Street, is because of this incentive program that the state has, the Clean Peak program, that it's incentivizing storage projects that kind of shave the peak at peak hours of electrical usage. And I guess Newburyport or this area is a part of the grid where the ratio between normal electricity use and peak is very high. So the potential to kind of like bring that peak down is more, there's more potential here than in other parts of the grid. So I think our area of the grid is very attractive for these kinds of companies. I don't know how they're being zoned, but that's something I'm sure Jennifer and I will talk about.
And it's just interesting. Thanks for that background.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I'm getting a battery put on my house too.
They're great.
Through the state, no interest loans to put them in. I can use it when I want to, and when there's high usage, National Grid will tap it.
Wow.
So,
Cool.
and pay me for that electricity.
And power your Tesla at the same time.
I don't have one of those anymore.
What? Oh my goodness.
No, I have a Rivian now.
Ah, even better.
That's it for me for updates.
All right. Anybody?
Well, any progress on our 7th member?
Oh,
No, the mayor's office has been made aware that we have a vacancy, and I think they put it out in their like email newsletter blast, but that was kind of during the holidays. So Andy and I were talking this morning about the need to kind of keep them aware that we need another member. And if any commission members have an idea or someone.
yeah, if you guys know anybody. Most people I know already are on a commission, so.
You don't know many people, huh? I do.
Try not to. All right. Since there's nothing else, I will take a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
All right. I'll second. Roll call. Steve Moore,
Yes.
Janet Daisley,
Yes.
Julie Gottfredson,
Yes.
Barb Riley.
Yes.
I vote yes. Good night, all.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night,
See ya.
everybody.
Did you say Basin Street?